Hey. All right, wonderful. So, welcome everyone. I am Marie Hugley, practitioner of transformative leadership, writer, creator, and proud single mom to a 13-year-old girl. Okay, so imagine looking up to the top of a mountain you know you have to climb. At the top, you see a field of the most coveted flowers blossoming, blooming. You know that this is a place you want to be, but you also know that the journey is going to be rugged and steep terrain. My project is called A Steep Bloom, and it's about community. It's about empowering single working mothers to thrive through shared narrative and real life inspiration. Like it or not, the Center for American Progress states that there are approximately 7.3 million of us, single mothers in the US as of 2023. And I thought, how cool would it be to interview women who are really immersed in this journey, no matter how temporary or permanent, in the advocacy and in the game of life, in survival and manifesting and creating abundance. The intent is to interview women who are doing amazing things and have really beat the odds and have been able to also share their success and can share their perspective on life with others. A lot is happening to us, against us, for us, and by us. Um, it flies by, and we barely have time to reflect on it. So, with that, I'd like to welcome Gianni Avalos, a single mom attorney, and I'm going to let her go ahead and tell us a little bit about her backstory and what brought her to where she is today. So, welcome, Gianni.
Well, I absolutely love what you're doing here. Thank you so much for considering me for this project. As we were discussing before, this is very much in line with my brand because I also seek to inspire other women, other mothers, in that if we can do it, they can do it too, right? And so sometimes they just need those stories that are put out there. But yes, I am Gianni Avalos. I am a Texas family and divorce attorney, and I own a statewide firm here with headquarters in Houston. And yeah, we take on all family and divorce, child support, custody matters. But my story started a few years ago whenever I was studying for the bar exam with my newborn as a single mom. The day that I found out that I passed the bar, I posted my little just inspiring story, a video montage on TikTok, and it blew up. It went viral. And naturally, I got a lot of single moms that followed me. And so overnight, I got 10,000 followers on TikTok. I made a promise to God while I was studying for the bar exam that if he helped me pass, that I would tell the whole world it was because of him. So when I woke up to the 10,000 followers the next day, I was like, this is my moment and this is my platform. And I didn't know what I was going to do with it at the time, but here we are.
That is amazing. So my next question was like, was there a moment where you felt that the momentum was speeding up and good things started happening? So was that the moment, like at the TikTok moment, or was it the before that, or like after that, or?
So it's actually interesting. I mean, I was growing my social media, but I wasn't doing it with the intention of using it as like a marketing tool or anything. It was more so just like, hey, here's community, here's where people can find other people going through something similar, and we talk about it in the comments. I would go live and whatnot. I started getting clients from it, single moms reaching out if I could take on their divorce, their child support matters, all of that. And so I was living in my hometown, which is a very small town. And at the time, I was a little ashamed of being like the TikTok lawyer, so I would kind of hide it, right? But it wasn't until I like just truly owned up to being single mom attorney, and I was like, this is who I am. I advocate for moms. Like everybody told me it was going to be really risky, like niching down in that market, and coming out as single mom attorney and mom who represents moms in family court. But no, it's been amazing ever since then. It was that moment that I just completely like branded my entire law firm, not just like my social media presence, as single mom attorney. And yeah, like the business just completely scaled at a rate that I could barely keep up with at that point.
That's just, I mean, that's amazing. I wish I would have known you, I think about, let's see how many years ago, it's like 6 years ago.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, I think that's absolutely amazing. I'm so impressed. And you know what I really love is that you decided to blend the personal and the professional,
Yeah.
and have become wildly successful because of it. And I think so many of us, like, we try to keep our personal, like, it's taboo. Like, should we keep our personal away from our professional? Should we talk about
Right.
being a mom at work, or should we,
Yeah.
and I just think that you have to bring all of yourself to what you do. And
Yeah.
I just you're like an inspiration to so many that you were able to kind of create this world for yourself and for your family. So it's very cool. Very cool.
Well, I figured that if I was going to show up as the mom who represents moms in family court, like nobody
Mhm.
knows what a mom goes through better than other moms. And so I didn't feel any sort of like I guess because I would get the DMs from my followers and I talked to them and I would like, I interacted with them online. I didn't feel like shame for sharing, hey, today was really hard. Like I had court and I had to go pick up my kid from school and the childcare flaked on me today, but we made it work. And I think that
Mhm.
moms seeing me endure like their everyday challenges, even as an attorney, it only made them trust me more as their attorney because when they told me like these are the challenges that I'm undergoing as a single mom and here's what I need and out of this family law case they
Mhm.
knew that I could relate to it and they knew that like who better to advocate for somebody going through something than somebody that's been through it themselves and so being a mom is not a pretty picture so of like I would go online and I would be emotional I'd laugh I'd cry all the things and I'd also educate them on the law and those are, I still keep that very much like a part of my brand. I don't like to just highlight, the or showcase the highlight reels or anything like that. It's all about, we don't have to sugarcoat or, just create this facade of oh, being a mom is so easy and here I am as an attorney and I made it and it's done from there. Like it's not. It's
Yeah.
I'm still a mom at the end of the day.
Yeah. It's kind of like a beautiful mess, right?
Absolutely.
You
Find
know,
beauty in the
in a way.
chaos.
Yeah, it was funny. Like when I was preparing to do this today, t so my daughter is sick today. She's 13. She's sick today and she's in bed. She's like, Mom, I need breakfast. Mind you, every day she goes to school, she doesn't want to have breakfast before school. So
Oh, just
today,
don't want
10
it.
minutes before she wants breakfast. So I was like, I had to skill it out. I was
Yeah.
doing like all the things. I'm like, okay, that's fine. We can do this. So
Yeah.
yeah, so I totally get it. All right. So
Yeah.
then my next question is, so I want to contemplate what it means to curate circles of support for ourselves. Um, personally, I think that there is a lot of untapped community waiting for us once we get strategic about the type of people we want in our lives and the type of people we want influencing our lives. So I guess for you, it would be like, I think you've described like, okay, this is how you've created these circles like professionally, right? So how about personally? How do you curate those or do you?
Like circles of community within my personal life.
Yeah.
Definitely
Yeah.
people that understand like what I'm going through. Even though I would say I have a lot of like not a lot of family support, but the family support that I have is very much like there for me. Um,
Yeah.
it's hard to keep like a big friend group, right? When you're running a business, you're a mom and you just have so much going on. But no, I think it's just people that can understand like your day to day. And you don't have to show up as somebody that you're not. That's what I'm really looking for when I'm curating a personal group.
Yeah, no, I think that's great. And I find that I do in terms of like school or extracurricular with how old is your son? Is
He's
he
4 now. He'll be 5 in
Oh,
May, God willing.
oh, okay, okay. So you might like as he gets older, like all of a sudden there'll be like all these extracurriculars and all these extra things that he
Oh
wants to be
yeah.
involved in. And so then there's how are you working out like rides and just and getting together with other families and like how does that look and how do you develop that? It's different for everyone. And I think but
Oh yeah,
one thing
no.
that's cool that I think about is like being able to actually like put together like if you can do a diagram, you're like, okay, this is me and my son. This is you and your son. And then outside you have your closest circle. And then beyond that, like you can add like all these other circles or all these other extracurriculars, whether it's even like if you guys go to a gym, if there's any kind of
Yeah.
clubs or groups or anything. So
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, no, and I think it's really important that like we talk about like the elephant in the room too, and that's that like sometimes you won't be accepted into certain groups because you are a single mom. And we see that a lot within like schools and extracurriculars and family dynamics and like, and so I think it's important to find like where you feel accepted and just create community from there as well.
I'm really glad you said that. That's actually something that I have experienced, but I didn't work into some of that in my research, but I'm actually really glad you said that because that is so true. It is
Yeah,
so
no, for
true.
sure.
So,
I
yeah.
was actually like today we get all of the private school decisions like for my kid. And that was always one of my goals when I was starting my firm. I was like, one day I'm going to be able to like afford private school for my son. And like, that's the goal, right?
Yeah.
And some of these schools are just like very, very conservative. Like they're very
Mhm.
conservative. And I, wonder sometimes like, is he not getting into some schools because of the brand, because I'm so outspoken about being a single mom, because I don't have like the gender or like the nuclear family, you know what I mean, that for my son. But
Yeah.
I know with or without being a single mom, like just being a family and divorce attorney, that families look so different. There's just so many different dynamics. And I hope to see in the future that like society will kind of get away from that like discrimination.
Yeah, and that's one thing. It's like you'll never really know what the reason is,
Right.
but you do know that if let's say your son did get in, maybe it wouldn't have been the right environment anyway
True.
because
That's
of
very
that,
true.
right?
Yeah. Yeah.
So
Sure.
so yeah, and I think that the face of America is changing, and I do think that yeah, I mean, I think that there are a couple of things that can be true. You can love marriage, you can love the nuclear family, you can want all those things, but then you also are in whatever situation you're in and you want to be able to thrive within it, right? So
Yeah.
why can't we lift each other up and just acknowledge what we are in the moment, right? And then regardless of how temporary or permanent that it is. So yeah.
Agree. And like that's one of the things that I get a lot of backlash for on my platform is like people saying that I promote being a single mom, and that is has never been the case. Like I don't wish for anybody to be a single mom. Like anybody that's really a single mom knows why I would say that, right?
Yeah,
I mean, the best
right.
thing that can happen for a child is to like have both of their parents in their lives on a day-to-day basis, right? But
Hmm.
one of the things that I found is like when we become single moms, it's really easy to get trapped into this like I'm a victim mindset,
Hmm.
right? And
Right.
I wanted to show people like if you don't carry that mindset and you know that what was meant to bring you down can actually be like your biggest come up, like look at what can happen. Like being a single mom, like statistically, I was not supposed to have succeeded. I wasn't. Like
Right.
my child statistically should not have a privileged life, but like there he is, right? And so you
Yeah.
just move different in life when you see it that way, right? And I like to show other moms like, hey, what we all have like a different set of resources, but I mean, I don't sugarcoat like, oh yeah, I work a 9 to 5 and then I go pick up my son and I only no, like I sleep
Yeah.
every other night. I work every other night, even building this firm,
Yeah.
like because why? I like to be there for my son during the day, And so
Right.
one day you'll see
Oh,
the
that's great.
sacrifices. Yeah.
I love that. And I also love what you said. I mean, yeah, like it's not necessarily a choice, but it's like kind of like living in the moment of our current reality and also kind of showing that I think when you show that empowerment, you're also you're letting people, you're hopefully influencing others to understand that it's not about like being desperate to find a savior. Like you don't need to go
Right.
out and find a man, any man, just so that you cannot be a single mom or just because
Yeah,
that sets you up for all kinds of other stuff. So like we can
absolutely.
have standards and that's okay.
Absolutely. And I think that a lot of people have this perception of, oh, she left. Like it was, she took the easy out. And it's like, no, the easy out would have been staying. Like that's the
Right.
easy out for moms is to stay because they know that at least there they have, even if it's not the security they want, they're not in it alone, technically,
Right.
And so leaving takes a lot of courage. Like embarking on the journey of being a single mom takes a lot of courage.
Yeah. Yeah.
Mhm.
I'm proud of you for that. I think that's amazing.
Yeah.
Let me see here. So in terms of my next question is how have you manifested things in your life? I think that's maybe you could talk a little bit more
Yeah.
about like how we all have that voice in our head. Sometimes we're our worst critic, and we have that voice in our head that says the most horrible things, or just those things that really bring us down. And how did you keep your eye on the prize and manifest these things in your life?
I definitely would pray a lot about what I wanted, but I always told God, like, don't bless me with anything that I'm not ready to receive because
Oh, I
I don't
like
want it at
that.
that point, right? I mean, I trust in his plan. And so for me, it was about, I guess, I love the name of your project because it's so true. Like if you in my mind, I would look out to the field of flowers, even if I was just envisioning it in my mind. Like, what does that look like for me? What is the end of the road here of this struggle, of this challenge that I'm trying to overcome? What does that look like for me? And just keeping those like little moments of in my mind, like envisioning them really would help me get through the difficult times for sure.
That makes
Hmm.
sense. That makes sense. Yeah. Um, and so in terms of like staying hopeful and resilient, yeah, I can see that you're kind of just a visionary, like some people are. And then also it sounds like your relationship with God and your religion obviously plays a big part in how you stay.
It does, but and then
Yeah.
I mean, I was just talking to a group of law students about this earlier. I'm like, sometimes you're put in circumstances like where you just literally cannot afford to fail, and like
Mm,
I mean, when
mm,
you're a mom, you don't have that option. Like you're
right.
like, I literally cannot afford to fail. When I was studying for the bar exam, people would be like, "Well, I mean, I guess we just take it again." I'm like, "No, I've maxed out my credit cards. Like my child is on WIC. Like I mean, he was on Medicaid. I didn't want to have to put like it was a whole thing that I was like,
Yeah.
I have to succeed. I have to pass this bar exam." To me, that was like that didn't just mean like, oh, I made it and I got my law, I became a lawyer. Like, no, it's like that to me was like financial security. That was how I was going to provide. Because as single moms, like,
Yeah.
we're not just the nurturers, like, we have to protect and provide as well, you know?
Yeah. You bet on everything and then you won. So that's, I mean, and you put in the work. So
Mm.
that's wonderful.
Yeah.
And then how do you think your son, I know he's only 4, but how do you think he's been influenced by your journey so far?
Um, Abram is so special. I really do believe that like God gives you the kids that he knows you need in your life because he's so patient with me. Um, he's been influenced in a way that I think he knows what hard work is. He's only 4, right? But like whenever I'm working, he'll be like, "Oh, mommy work, I work too." And he'll go get like his little VTech laptop. Like, but no, he's a special kid. And I think he's gonna grow up really recognizing like the sacrifices and I'm never gonna let him forget that he was a WIC baby. I don't care how privileged my kid is. Like, don't forget where you came
Mhm.
from.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Yeah. Oh, that's amazing. And they always say that your kids, they are influenced most by what you do, what they observe, as opposed to what you tell them, right?
Right. No,
So
for
you
sure.
can tell them, he's gonna, this is like embedded in his DNA at this point. So I think that's awesome. Yeah.
Yeah.
Um, let's see. So what are some non-negotiables when it comes to thriving as a single working mom? Um, like, I guess, let's see, most important structures that you put in place or lifestyle and home requirements,
You
anything
have to
like that?
have a strong childcare system. And if
Mhm.
you don't have a strong childcare system, it's not to mean that you're not going to get to your goal. It just means that you may not get there as fast as you want. And like anybody that's a single mom, I know they can agree with me because they sometimes I get some criticism online saying like, "Oh, well, you have your sister and whatnot." And it's like, yeah, but I didn't always have my sister. You know, I have her now
Mhm.
because I have to sustain a whole law firm and we can do that now, right? But I
Yeah.
didn't let not having my sister stop me in the beginning from achieving what we have now, right? And so
Yeah.
I think having a strong childcare system is really important. And it's a shame that in today's society, like the whole it takes a village is we're seeing that a little bit less and less. It's almost like to each their own at this point, but showing up for
Mhm.
other single moms when they need it, I think that that's really important. So that would be one of my non-negotiables.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah, the village is, whether it's created, whether it's there already or you have to create it, it is so
Mhm.
important. And even now, I feel like um, with my daughter who's 13, like it is so important. And I am working on, and it changes. The village changes. It can change, and it can, sometimes people are in the village for a while, and then maybe they leave the village and they come back. But the idea is like to really focus on creating that village, because without it, so I actually moved away from my family's in Wisconsin, and I moved to California, to the LA area for work, with my daughter. And so we're in kind of and I have some family that lives further in, like over an hour away, right? But nobody that's like right here. And
Yeah.
so that's where, like, I'm like, okay, I'm creating my village.
Yeah.
Without family, but but I did have family for years initially. So yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, no, it was definitely a challenge for me up until I just finally was like, Monique, my sister, I was like, you need to just she quit her corporate job and like came and started living with me and now works with me, and her full-time job is to like help me with Abram when she can, right? But
Mhm.
it was a challenge in the beginning when I first moved to Houston. I told my family, I was like, I'm not going to move out until I know that I have a strong team at my firm. I wasn't going to have like the luxury of still getting to practice law and being at court and whatnot. If I didn't have my family there, I'd be like, okay, well, who's going to pick up my kid if court runs late? Like all, all of
Yeah,
these things, right, that you have to think about.
yeah,
And so I told myself, I was like, it's not until I have like a strong team here, other attorneys that I'll move, right? So I did that, and um, it was just such a challenge, like finding really good childcare. I think like you have a certain standard of like how you want people to care for your kid, and nobody else is going to look out for them like you, except maybe family, right? So
yeah,
it was a
yeah.
challenge.
Yeah, childcare is really tricky. I mean, even any parent, like, and it's also like we get really locked in to childcare providers, and when in reality, maybe like like maybe there's someone that is better eventually, but then we get locked in because we're so used to our child
Yeah.
going to one. So then we like, so, but yeah, but that is wonderful that you have your sister and you guys can kind of team up like that. It's really cool.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um, so, one quote that I really like, make the most of yourself by fanning the tiny inner sparks of possibility into flames of achievement. And on that note, I just wanted to let you like share how anyone who's watching can get in touch with you or um, obtain your
Absolutely.
services. Yeah.
Yeah, no. So I'm on TikTok, Instagram, and Facebook as Single Mom Attorney. So same handle on all three platforms. And then there's a link tree attached to all of them, and there's a contacts form there as well. So yeah.
Okay, that's wonderful. Well, I'm really grateful to you. So thank you so much. And I'm in awe of everything that you do,
Thank
Gianni. So
you.
thank you.
I appreciate you considering me. Thank you.
Yeah, yeah.